Welcome back, coders. Today's video, I'm going to show you how to use Selenium to test some websites. Alright, so let's imagine you have a website. I have downloaded a template from HTML5 up. It's a great site. You should go check them out and try to see if you like any of the templates. Alright, so I have this dummy website. This has dummy navigation for a few of the components. It has real navigation for a couple of them too. So you have left sidebar, right sidebar, no sidebar. You also have like sub menus and so on. There's an elements page where you can see how the elements are going to be rendered, different types of elements, images, and so on. And a dummy sign up button that doesn't do anything. All right. How would you go about testing this with Selenium? What I usually like to do is use Docker or use a container for that. So I'm going to show you now how I have structured this so that maybe it'll give you some inspiration for your own testing. All right, this is a very basic project. Has Selenium Java, JUnit, the usual suspects, Surefire, and failsafe. This is the orchestrator of all of these tests. And this is going to be in charge also of running the test, but it's going to take a little help from the Docker Maven plugin to start some containers. And the containers I'm going to start are the Selenium Hub, the Selenium Node Chrome. You can look for different browsers. So there's Firefox, there's Edge, and others. And I'm also going to make use of the Selenium video container so that I can keep a recording of the container when it's being tested. All right, and what I have here is also, I have some configuration that I didn't use. And what I have done is save the video locally to the target directory. But you can also easily just upload this to some remote location like an S3 bucket or an FTP server. You can read the configuration for this in the Selenium website. All right, and once I have my three containers up, failsafe is going to be looking for some tests, right? They're going to be named something IT or IT something. I have also left some configuration here that I'm not using, but just in case you have your tests in a different project and you want them to be separate from where they are being executed, you could easily just create a jar with your different tests and then just declare tests here. So for example, this would be useful for when you have I don't know, multiple teams working on different parts of a website, right? So each team would produce their own set of tests. They would upload them to some artifact repository, and then you would simply use them here, declare them as dependencies for failsafe, and failsafe would scan those dependencies for tests and then run them. That's the way I like to, and that's how I'm also testing the microservice infrastructure that I have that I showed you in that other video that I've been working for a little over a year. And it's worked great because you can separate that execution from the declaration of the test. And all right, so you saw the infrastructure. Right now, this is just straight in the POM. What I would do is put all of these containers in its own profile so that they are started when the developer selects that profile and they want to run them locally. And otherwise, I would put the Selenium Hub and a few of those Node Chrome containers in a acceptance environment. For example, I usually have 4 environments: dev, test, acceptance, and production. And I use acceptance for Selenium test. So I use dev for integrating all the microservices. I use test for performance and other tests, and also a behavior test, for example. And then I use acceptance for Selenium tests and maybe even manual tests if you still have manual tests. I wouldn't recommend having manual tests because, well, I'm a single person team, and the only thing that allows me to have the speed that I have is because I have everything automated, right? Okay, so there you go. Each team gets their own set of Node Chrome containers, maybe one, but depending on each team, maybe you might need more because you're doing more tests or you want to test things in parallel. So you would benefit from having also multiple of these nodes per team. And if you want to keep the video, then you will, for each node of browser, you also need one node of these. If you don't want the video, then you don't need this node. Okay, so let's see what we have. Okay, I'm gonna show you this. This is your run-of-the-mill test. I have a test. It uses WebDriver. Here I'm putting dummy properties, arguments. You don't need this, but I'm just showing you that you could pass also different arguments in case you need them. I usually I have seen people use this one. In my case, I don't need it because I have deployed this in a place in Azure where it gives me a dummy certificate. So I don't really need to ignore those certificate errors. All right. You can also set unhandled from behaviors, download file behavior. How do you open PDF files? For example, if you want to open the PDF file inside the browser or outside in a dedicated application. And finally, you just have to create a remote WebDriver that connects to that Selenium hub. And I have a single test, but you can easily imagine that you could have this be split into multiple tests. I'm just navigating to some URL. I'm using the page factory to init all the elements for this. I'm going to show you in a few moments what this does. And then I start my test. Yeah, you can imagine that each one of these is a test, right? So I'm waiting for a banner, and then I'm clicking on something, waiting again, clicking on something else, waiting, clicking a bunch of stuff, maybe scrolling to the bottom, navigating to another page, waiting for something on that other page. And this is, let's say, one test. Then you have another one. I could easily just chain all of these, but I wanted to show you the different parts of the test. And let's talk about the test. Let me put the video on screen right now so that you can see what we're testing and how we're testing. And what you're going to see right now is the first run of the test, and you're going to see some jankiness. And that's on purpose. I want to show you that sometimes when you use Selenium, it doesn't know about your maybe custom navigation that you might have, or it doesn't know what other elements you have created or what they do. So you're gonna have to be careful because, yeah, the jankiness you're gonna see is it's just me clicking. So you click here, and it goes right away, right? But that's not how the user navigates. The user hovers over things and they don't click. They hover, and that's when they click, right? When it comes to navigation, when you have to navigate, and especially when you have custom components or elements in your page, you want to really take advantage of the actions. And as you probably already saw in the video, or you're gonna see next, this is how the jankiness comes from. This that is commented out. So I'm waiting for that layout element, which is this one, right? I'm clicking the layout element here. Then I'm waiting for the, for example, no sidebar submenu. And when you go into the no sidebar submenu, I'm clicking on it, right? Hey, future Daniel here. All right, so what you're seeing is the tests running. So you're gonna see a bunch of clicks at the beginning, some scrolling. All right, I'm testing the first page. I'm scrolling down, checking that each section has the content that I want, scrolling to the bottom. Then I scroll to the top again. Now, you see this jankiness? This is the clicking that I was mentioning just about now. But if you see, now you can see me trying to hover, you see, and click. You don't see the change because it's the same page, but that's the way the user usually navigates. So they don't do that clicking. You saw that there. They hover and click. So that's more natural. And I'm gonna speak about usability a lot in this video because I see tests being done mechanically and very just to get them out of the way, basically. So just to tick a box and say, okay, this is tested, and so on. All right, so this is the same thing, scrolling the elements down, checking how things look. And you can see the jankiness of scrolling up and down here. It's because there's no dedicated scroll with a smooth behavior. All right, let's go back to the video. You see it here. Then I'm waiting a bit, and you're gonna see these sprinkled throughout the test. And this is just for the video to look good. Sometimes the test runs so fast that you don't even know what you're looking at or where the failure is. And this is also something I do since I cannot, again, I'm a single person team. I don't have time to perform custom demo of things. So what I do is I just use my tests to generate the video, but I make them look good by trying to act like the user. And in the second video, I'm going to show you where I ran this with this commented out. You're gonna see this happening, which is what I was saying at the beginning. If you take advantage of the actions object, you could hover over elements. You can pause like the user would. You could move by an offset, maybe even randomly, an offset between 0 and 50. Maybe this will help you test the usability of your website for people who don't have fine motor control. So the accessibility can also be somewhat tested. What you saw in the first video of the jankiness, it's when you move to a place, it's like scrolling like this. Like, you know exactly where the things are, and that's not how users usually go about finding stuff. They scroll slowly, smoothly, and they try to scan the page. And as I was saying, you need to think like the user and think also about what you're trying to test. So you move by a little bit, then you pause, then maybe you go to the other element, you pause there, maybe you also have some jitter in the hovering of your mouse, you pause a little bit, then you click. You build this series of actions. When you perform them, that's when it looks more natural. Again, a few waits here and there for the video to look okay. And I'm going to show you exactly what the base page looks like so that you can see what these do. All right, it's future Daniel again. And now I'm going to show you the exact same test, same clicks and all, but removing that jankiness. So we're still scrolling, checking for paragraphs, and we're looking for the elements that we're interested in, making sure they're visible. Scrolling to the bottom again, scrolling to the top. Now we're going to test the layouts. You see, now it's hovering and clicking. And then scroll down, scroll up again, hovering, clicking the right sidebar, then looking for some elements, scrolling down, scrolling up. We do the same thing for the no sidebar. We hover, click, you see, and look for some elements, scroll down, scroll up. Now we're going to test the submenu, hover over all the 4 options. Now we hover over elements, and now we click. You see, it looks a little bit more natural, and this scrolling didn't look that well in the previous part. So if you go back to the previous part, then you're gonna see that. All right, let's go back to the video. And I keep using the page factory init elements to navigate to the next page, right? So when you go into the test, the first thing I do, I say, okay, whenever you navigate to this one, transform it into an index page with the page factory. This index page extends from the base page, and the base page has some common elements. These common elements are like the logo on the top left, the home element, which is a button on the menu, and I can show you that here. So this is the logo. This could be a logo. I'm just calling it logo because usually websites have their logo here. Then the home element, the layouts element, the elements element. You also have these left sidebar, right sidebar, no sidebar, this submenu, the options, right? The sign up button, those are all declared here as common elements in the base page, and also the footer, right? I usually declare them like this. This is the way I like to declare them. I create a by to have like a static by that I can use as a selector. You could use CSS, XPath, whatever you want. I would recommend that you use XPath, but I'm showing you that you can also work with CSS selector. If in my projects, I try to never use CSS selector, and I always go by XPath because for me it's simpler to, let's say, look for a link that has some text that is this, because that's the way the user is going to be interacting with your website. They don't know what CSS an element has, right? So I would recommend that you either put IDs on stuff, and then you can use the CSS selector with just the ID. Don't do like siblings or children or whatever, or just use the XPath, and then you can have something that says, okay, look for something that has text like this, and it's a button or it's a link, right? That's more realistic from a user standpoint, right? Okay, and then I use these annotations on the web elements so that I don't have to like look for them really. And I'm gonna show you the weights. Okay, so I have a weight. This weight is generated from the driver, and this weight generator just has a fluent weight that waits and ignores no such elements, and if the element is not interactable. All right, it waits for a maximum of 5 seconds, checking every 100 milliseconds. Right. I also have a few utility weights, which you don't technically need, but if you want the video to look okay, then you might have something like wait a bit, like 1 second, or even just wait millis, and you pass it however millis you want to wait, and that's better. Technically, you could create this one from this one. So I could just say wait millis, apply, and pass it the WebDriver and 1000, and it would give me exactly the same one as this right now. Okay, and I was gonna say, so there's the elements that have their XPath or CSS selectors. I usually go about them like this. Sometimes I even extract this part as a constant because it also serves another purpose, that is when I try to locate them by using JavaScript, I can use the XPath or the CSS selector. All right. So this is the base page, and it has utility methods like click on the logo. That this is going to wait until all of these conditions are fulfilled, so that the element logo, so this one that is using the by, is present, that is visible, and that it can be clicked, for example. You click the logo element. I'm waiting for a bit. This is the one that waits 1 second. And then I use the page factory again to init the elements on that one. And I return that new page. that allows me to do things like click logo dot wait for banner title. This is not in the base page anymore after you click the logo. This is in the index page. And the index page is structured exactly in the same way as the other one. So the base page has the common elements, so they are, you can see them here. But the index page has other elements, like for example, in the body of the page itself, right? It has maybe a title, a banner. It has clickable elements that allow you to scroll or navigate throughout your experience, right? And let's see what we can do here. Do this, all right? These are, for example, the banners, the scroll, the click to scroll elements, those chevrons that are at the bottom of the page, of the viewport, basically, not the page. And there's also sections that you want to maybe look for. This way of working also allows me to even, I could extract all of these to different constant classes, and then I could have constant classes that are internationalized or at least localized, and I could dynamically choose, okay, test it in this language, test it in this other language. And when you go to the test, you could say, oh, the language is this, or the language of this test is that other one. And you could easily switch between the labels that are in your page, so that you can find the element that you're looking for. You can obviously just also duplicate your text, but that seems wasteful. All right, so I have my usual 3 line declarations for elements. And what I do here is I say, okay, what can you do on this page? Okay, you can wait for the banner title to appear. So you wait for the element to be present and also visible. You don't need to click on it, so I'm not waiting for element to be clickable, for example. When you click on scroll 1, I'm waiting for that scroll 1 to be present, visible, and clickable. I'm clicking on it, and I'm waiting for some section to be present and visible. Then I'm also waiting until the next clickable element is present, visible, and clickable. And I keep returning this. As you can see, I'm not navigating away from the page. This is an easy way of telling, oh, this doesn't navigate away from the page, because I can return this same page. The same thing for the scroll 2, scroll 3. Scroll 4, a bit different. So I'm just waiting for this. I'm not waiting for any more scrolls. And then I have one that scrolls to the bottom. This one overrides the one in the base page. So the base page has a scroll to the bottom, right? But I also want to wait until the bottom section of that index page is present. So I'm doing everything to scroll to the bottom like you would on the base page, but I'm also expecting to see something after I do that. So in this way, I can override the base behavior. All right. In a few of these, we're just scrolling down. Since the base page has the common element, then you're gonna see things like click on logo, click on home, click on sign up. Those are all the elements in the top of the page. So home, layout, elements, sign up. When you click on these, you might or might not navigate away, right? Let's try going, oh, and also have this scroll to top, which this is just calling window scroll to top. This is an easy way to move things to the top, and you can even define the behavior for it to move smoothly, and as I was saying, like the user would. The user is not trying to make things janky, right? You're gonna wait until you see the logo, and then you're going to wait a little bit to ponder your next step. When you navigate to this is scrolling top. When you navigate to another page, in the before video that you probably already saw, you saw that there was that jankiness. When you're going to be navigating like the user, then this is the way you're going to do it. You're not going to look at the menu, click on it, find the other sub menu and click on it. That's not really how the user is going to be. The user is not going to be click, click, click. The user is going to move to the element, hover, pause, and everything I already mentioned, right? Going to move, hover over the other one, check if it's clickable. Maybe they have some jitter in their positioning. Then they do click. So you build all of these steps, and it gives you a smoother experience and a more realistic experience. All right, and after that, I take the page factory and say, okay, after you have navigated, then return a left sidebar page. This, again, extends from the base page. I only declare the elements that I'm interested in this page, and I declare what actions you can perform on this page. So you can wait for the title and you can wait for the section, right? And right here, I'm also asking for the location. You could do things like get the dimensions, the position, a lot of information about the web element. And you can also do assertions here if you wanted to. So like I showed you in the previous video of the first web app, where I showed you the UI, and you could see that it was one of those pixel perfect UIs where you could switch components on the fly depending on user input, and the user would not see any jankiness in the UI. So that's a good experience for the user. Here you can assert that the things are in the position that you're expecting them to be, and if not, you can easily use an assert and make the test fail, right, from this point. I don't like doing that, but you could do that. I like doing the whole flow and then either having a timeout, because that's what the user would do. The user would, hey, where's the item that I want to click? It's not here. And they time out and they go elsewhere. You need to be coding this like a user. Right, same thing for waiting for that section. And I'm overriding the hovering over the layout just because since it's in the base page, it returns a base page. And I want to stay in one of these structures, I can simply override it and return this one instead. You could avoid this if you made base page generic, but I think it's overkill. I mean, this is very simple to understand. So you're doing the action from the parent, but returning this same one, this same page. And finally, the elements page. And this is where you're going to see, you're perhaps going to think that I'm contradicting myself, but in this case, we're not navigating, right? And the jankiness might come from actually using that base page action. So if you're going to be scrolling or moving around the page, this is not a good way to do it, because this is going to look janky, just like when you click on menu items look janky, right? So there's a certain place for each of these things, and sometimes using actions is not the best way to go. So in the video where you saw the jankiness, I was doing this. I was moving to the image element, and that thing immediately scrolled down to that element, paused, and it's not a realistic experience, right? So a more realistic experience would be, oh, I'm gonna wait until this element is present, and then I'm going to use my XPath locator. In this case, remember I told you that I sometimes like to have this extracted as a constant. You could even put this in a constant page that could possibly be updated as the layout of the page is updated, right? Or if it's dynamic, there could be a place where you could determine beforehand what the correct path for that element would be. All right, and what I'm doing is evaluating that XPath, finding the result, getting what the offset from the top is, and then I'm scrolling to that offset with the behavior of and that will give you that nice scrolling effect instead of jumping straight to where the element is, which is a bit robotic. All right. And before this, I was waiting for the element to be present so that I know that this is not going to fail, right? Because this is using exactly the same XPath, you see? And then once I check that the presence of the element is located, I scroll to that element, and now the element should be also, on top of being present, it should also be visible. So now I'm checking, oh, wait for it to be visible. This is for the video to look okay. The same thing happens here when you scroll to the other section. So I scroll to the images section, and then I scroll down a little bit to where the left and right title was showing. Instead of jumping to it right away, I check that it exists, scroll smoothly to it, wait for it to be visible, and that's when it looks a little bit more natural. All right, so you have this. I haven't showed you what this looks like, so I'm perhaps going to show you that now. And what this looks like is something like this. So you're going to see the containers being started. So they're being started now. I have downloaded the images already, so you're not gonna see the images being downloaded, but that's what you would see if it was the first time. It's starting the hub. The hub is started. The node Chrome is started. If it's started, then I'm gonna wait for the node to be here. Oh, there you go. So I have this node. You could check by browser name, by whatever. You could check the sessions. So there's a video recording session going on right now. You could probably try to look for that video and start looking at what's happening in that video. Actually, I think we can perhaps look at that if we come here and look for is the I don't know what the password is for this one, but you can perhaps let me see if I can. I don't know the password. I can probably find the password, and we could see the live session there. And actually, maybe this is not the password for that. This is the destination. Yeah. All right, and this is probably going to shut down. Yeah, shut down complete. So there's no more video, there's no more session, and soon the hub is also going to be torn down. So if we refresh this, gone. I was saying that I'm a single person team, so if I didn't have all this automation, I wouldn't be able to work as easily as I would. You should have all of these containers be in their own profile so that your devs can choose the profile here, execute all of this in their local environments exactly in the same way the tests would be executed in a real acceptance environment, for example. All right, and let's see what else is missing. Okay, and the element space, this one. All right, and I think I haven't shown the hover. Yeah. All right, scrolling to the top. This is coming from base page. Waiting for the top menu to be visible. Do all of this. Just checking layout element. Hovering over the submenu. Hovering over each of the options. And then no clicking, no anything, just go away. Right? This hover over layout submenu options. Actually, this shouldn't be here. This should return this. There you go. All right, and well, that's it. Hopefully this was helpful, and if you have any suggestions for next videos, you have comments on this video, if you want help with anything, leave a comment. I usually don't get a lot of comments. I get an email here and there, but I don't get a lot of comments on my video. So hopefully you can support this channel. So if you find this useful, all that stuff, like, subscribe, and all that. All right, so take care and happy coding.